Look, here's the deal. A lot of people think starting a blog is really hard. And, it can be. But it doesn't have to be if you focus on just one thing. If you focus on this one thing for the first 90 days of starting your blog, you will have success, you will have momentum, and you're gonna have the makings of a business. So what's that one thing? Get your first 1,000 email subscribers. So if you've got 1,000 email subscribers, you're gonna start feeling pretty good. You're gonna be like, you know what? People are into what I'm doing. I've got a little confidence. I've got a little momentum. And having that confidence momentum is crucial when you're first starting your blog. You're also gonna have people you can promote your new content towards. So if you create a new blog post and you have 1,000 people you can email telling them about it, that's gonna give that content a big bump up. You also have people that might buy your products. You can sell these people things. And most importantly, if you have 1,000 people on your email list, you have got the makings of true fans, people that are going to support you in everything you do. So that's why getting your first 1,000 subscribers is so crucial early on. So that leads us to the big question, how on earth do you get your first 1,000 subscribers? Fortunately, it's not nearly as hard as you think, and if you watch this video in the next 90 days, you are going to have the makings of a successful blog if you implement the things that we're gonna talk about today. This is gonna be a really meaty video. If you are even considering starting a blog or niche site this year, I highly suggest you watch it because, frankly, it's gonna be really valuable. Stay tuned. So real quick, I have a tendency to ramble. I don't want to do that in this video. My name's Sean Ogle. I'm the founder of this thing at Location Rebel, where for the last 12 years, I've taught people how to build businesses on the internet using their words. Freelance writing, blogging, niche sites, affiliate marketing. That's what I teach you how to do. So watch the video. If you got some value out of it, thumbs up, subscribe. I'm not gonna ask you for that just yet. I wanna make sure you get some value first, but if by the end of the video, you've got some value, maybe consider doing it. Now let's just jump right into it. Okay, the first thing you need to do to get your first 1,000 subscribers goes against all the common knowledge you will hear about building a blog. What people are going to say is you should create content that is low in competition, high in traffic. You know what? Most of those keywords, they don't exist anymore. So what you need to do is create great content around low competition, low traffic topics. And the reason you want to do this is because it can get you some small wins early on. You can start bringing in a trickle of traffic that is better than nothing, and that's going to help kind of build your confidence. And over time, that trickle can turn into a lot more traffic if you approach things in the right way. And I will say a lot of this comes down to how your brand is perceived. So there's a lot of low traffic, low competition keywords that seem like they should be higher traffic or higher competition, which can give you a little bit of street cred when you're working with new brands. Here's an example. On Slightly Pretentious, I did a review of the Park Hyatt Hotel Tokyo. Arguably the most famous hotel in Tokyo is in the movie Lost in Translation. If you search Park Hyatt Tokyo review, I'm the second thing that comes up. You would think a lot of people might be searching for that. It gets 30 searches a month. But I get a trickle of traffic from that, and it was an easy post to rank for because there's not a whole lot of competition. As you can see here, there's a lot of related keywords that also have very little competition and very little traffic. But if I optimize my traffic to also include those keywords, I can take the 30 views that I get from Park Hyatt Tokyo review to the 90 views that I get for Park Hyatt Tokyo Bill Murray and all of these random keywords, and all of a sudden you start getting a little bit more traffic. And as Google begins to recognize that you have really high quality content around a specific topic, they're gonna start bumping you up for some shorter tail keywords as well. So now I rank third for Park Hyatt Tokyo, which gets 2,000 views a month. So that's still not a ton of traffic. But as you're just getting started, every little bit counts, and that has the potential to turn these new visitors into subscribers. Because here's the deal. This video is about how to get your first 1,000 subscribers, and I said that's the most important thing. But you can't get subscribers until you have traffic. And we're not gonna worry about getting a deluge of traffic. We're gonna worry about the things we can control and get the small wins where we can get just a little bit of traffic with the blog post. And then we can do another low traffic, low competition keyword and get a little bit more traffic. And then over the course of a few weeks, Google starts to recognize that, hey, you got something kind of special here. They're gonna start sending more people your way. All right, second thing you need to do. If you wanna get 1,000 subscribers on your blog in 3 months, write 3 to 4 times a week for 3 months straight. Seems like a lot of work, but the more opportunities you have to rank in Google, the better the chances of ranking in Google and getting traffic. Now you'll hear people say that you can go for quality over quantity. You are looking for quality and quantity. You're gonna put a lot of time into creating content for this site, so it should be something you're interested in. I don't suggest people start a niche site just because there's an opportunity or there's a hole in the market. You should create a site around something you love to do because you're gonna spend a lot of time writing content. Publish 3 to 4 times a week for 3 months straight. That's going to give you at least 3 dozen solid pieces of content, and that's 3 dozen opportunities for Google to recognize your content and start sending traffic your way. Nothing more to say about that, you just gotta put in the work. All right, real quick, there's one tactic that has worked better than just about anything for me when it comes to getting actual email subscribers. I'm gonna talk about that at the end of the video because the next tips are going to kind of prepare you for having success with that. So make sure you stay tuned because just this one thing alone has led to 1,000 subscribers on my new site, Slightly Pretentious. All right, step number 3 is do a good job interlinking your content from day one. So a lot of people, when they're thinking about SEO and they're thinking about Google rankings, they're trying to get external links to point to you. Links are the currency of the internet. Essentially, the more links that point back to your site, the higher your rankings are going to be. But people completely forget about the fact that you've got a lot of links on your own site and you're going to be linking to your own content. So what you want to make sure you do from the beginning is do a very good job of interlinking content on your own site. Make it really easy for Google to crawl your site and figure out what posts are related and figure out what you are an expert of and figure out what your site is all about. If it's easy for Google to crawl, it's also going to be easy for the average person. So let's say you've got a niche site about golf product reviews where you're reviewing golf balls and someone's reading a review about one specific type of golf ball. And then there's a link in that post to another type of golf ball that's maybe a competitor of theirs. You can go see that. And then there's a link in that post to another type of golf ball. And then there's a link to that to your roundup of best golf balls of 2022. You link to all of those things together and Google can start to see, oh, all of these posts work together to create a cohesive resource that people are going to want to see as they're trying to make their buying decision. And because of that, they're going to reward you with your search rankings. Now, obviously, all of this takes time. None of this is a silver bullet, but by focusing on little things like this from the beginning, it's going to give you a much better chance of increasing your search rankings early on in your site. Okay, the 4th thing you need to do is find all of the communities online that are talking about your specific niche or your specific industry and get involved. Could be Facebook groups, it could be Reddit threads, it could be forums. Get super involved in these communities and provide legitimate value. The more you post in them, the more you're going to be perceived as an expert on the topic. And when you're posting a bunch, you're going to get a little bit of leeway when you start throwing in the occasional links to your website. A good rule of thumb is for every 10 posts you create in a forum or a Facebook group or a Reddit thread, you can include 1 to yourself, as long as it's useful, relevant, and you're not trying to do it in kind of a self-promotion way. So early on, with Slightly Pretentious, which is my cocktail and hotel website, I found a lot of Facebook groups that were around cocktails. And the biggest bumps of traffic I got in those early days were when I was able to post about my site in some of those forums. So some of them you'll find once a month they have a self-promotion day where you can promote anything you want and send links to your own website. Those are great. Put those on your calendar. Know when those are. Sometimes people will ask questions and you can give a really thoughtful response and then say, hey, I also created a blog post about this. If you're interested, click here. So both of those things have worked out really well, but by making yourself an invaluable part of these other communities, not only do people start to perceive you as an expert, but it can send traffic to your site. And because you already know these people are interested in the same things that you're talking about, there's a very high likelihood you can get a subscriber that's going to turn into a true fan. Real quick, I just want to point out that I know we haven't really talked about how to actually get email subscribers yet. That's okay. We are going to. We're just setting the stage because all of these things involve getting people to your website, which is the thing you have to do in order to actually get them on your email list as well. So don't worry, we're getting there. It all goes together. There's a plan. There's a method here. So just keep watching. Number 5. Guest post. You'll hear some people say guest posting is dead, but let me tell you, it is not. Find blogs and websites that are within your industry, build legitimate relationships with the editors and the people behind them, and then pitch them on a guest post idea. We've got a video below that's all about how to properly send a pitch. You don't want to do this in a spammy way. You want to make sure you do it properly. There is a right and a wrong way. If you've watched my videos, you know this is something that's very near and dear to my heart. So watch the video below before you actually start sending the pitches. But what this is gonna do is it's gonna open you up to a new related audience, and it's gonna get a backlink to your site. Sometimes you'll get a flood of traffic and you'll get a bunch of people that'll land and you'll get a bunch of email signups. Other times, you won't get a whole lot, but that link will be valuable and Google recognize. Remember what we said? Links are the currency of the internet. So guest posting is one of the easiest ways to begin getting those links. So this is something that's kind of a long play. You want to keep doing this after the first 90 days. It's going to help build your brand and your reputation over the longer term. But if you can get a couple guest posts early on in your blog, that's going to really help you get some traction. Sometimes all it takes is a couple external links pointing to your site for Google to be like, oh, okay, there's something good going on here. We want to reward that. We're going to bump up some of their content in search, which is going to lead to more people, which is going to lead to subscribers. Okay, so what do you actually do to get people to sign up for your email list once they're on your site? Well, we're getting closer to that one kind of almost like magic bullet tip that I've talked about earlier. But the first thing we're going to need to do is we're going to need to give them a reason to opt in. So I like putting together what I call a killer free guide. Create a PDF or create a little book or create a resource that's going to be super valuable about something specific in your industry. So with Slightly Pretentious, with my cocktail site, I put together a guide for how to stock your home bar. So whether you've got $100, $250, $500, $1,000, I laid out, here's all the different spirits I would buy, here's all the tools you're gonna need, here are some things to think about as you're cultivating your home bar, here are some cocktails that I recommend that are easy to make that your guests are going to like, and then I give it away for free if you sign up. It's directly relevant to what my audience is looking for. So what I would do is I would spend a weekend. You can do this pretty quickly. It can be anywhere from 1,000 to 5,000 words, depending on how in-depth you want to get. And then once you've got it written out, use a tool called Beacon in order to put it all together. This is essentially going to allow you to create a really good-looking PDF document, even if you have no design experience. So the great thing is once you've got this free guide, you can market that all over your website in creative ways to actually get people on your email list. And that's what we're going to talk about now. Okay, remember that one killer tactic I talked about earlier? This is it, so listen up. So one blog post I think everybody should create is a best books blog post. So no matter what niche you're in, no matter what industry you're in, you can create a 10 best books for blank. So for instance, I have 10 best golf books. I also had 10 best cocktail books for the home bartender. And so that post in particular has done pretty well. So if you search for best cocktail books, it's one of the first things that shows up. So this is great because you can make a little bit of affiliate revenue, and it's something that's easy to read, it's easy to share, and people are always looking for books around topics and things that they like. So that's a great, useful post. But here's the secret. So what I did in my best cocktail books post is I was listing all of these actual books, and then as one of the best cocktail books, I listed my How to Stock Your Home Bar, and I had an opt-in for it. And you can go to I'll link the page below so you can see it, and for free, you can get that book right now, immediately delivered to your inbox, and you don't have to spend any money. So when people are reading this and they're seeing it included with all of these published really good books, it has a little bit of perceived value that, oh, this thing actually is valuable. And then if you create something that's actually good and useful, then you've got someone that's going to stay on your list. They're going to be a fan. Next time you email them talking about a new blog post, they're probably going to click and read. So not only are you building your list, but you're building a list of passionate people that are excited about the content you are creating. So that's what I would do if I were you. I would create your free guide, and then I would create your best books for your industry, and I would include your free guide in that. Now, to be clear, that's just one place you can put this. I think you should add an opt-in form at the bottom of every single post asking it. When people go to click away from your website, you should have a pop-up that hits them with a, hey, before you go, grab our free book. In your sidebar, you can have an opt-in for your new book. So you want to do a good job of pretty much making sure that every single person that shows up on your site, they know you've got this really valuable free thing. And you need to be a little careful. You don't want it to be too in your face, but I will say that I've gotten pretty aggressive with some of the pop-ups and pop-ins and all of that stuff, and I have very rarely, if ever, actually had somebody complain about it. So it can feel like it's not the best user experience, but for the most part, it really hasn't affected anything aside from getting me a lot of email subscribers and growing my email list. And this has worked across all three of my main websites. There's all sorts of tools out there you can use. I recommend a tool called Opt-in Monster. That's generally what I've been using for my opt-ins lately. If you use a service like ConvertKit, you've got built-in forms that you can use and built-in landing pages. Lead Pages has versions of this you can do as well. So find the one that works for you, but I've been using OptinMonster and it tends to work pretty well. Okay, final tip for this video is one of the best things I have learned for traffic, and that is make Google happy. That sounds super generic, but let me tell you what I mean by that. So most people, when they think of Google, they think about search traffic. Someone types in a query, you want to rank at the top of that query, so people click on your link, go to your site. But what you don't hear people talk about quite as much is Google Discover. And I get thousands, if not tens of thousands of views a month across my sites from Google Discover. So what this is people have an Android phone and they open up the Chrome app and there's not an actual page or anything. The first thing they're going to see is a suggested for you page. And essentially what this is content that Google thinks you're going to like based on your browsing history. And so if you make Google happy and you do all the little things you need to do for your website, you're going to increase your chances that it's going to be found in Google Discover. And what happens is if people click it, and they like the post and you have a good time on site and people stick around and they read the whole post, Google's gonna send more traffic to it and more traffic. Last year around this time, I had over 10,000 people in one day show up to my site just for this one post that got found in Google Discover. So when I say make Google happy, what do I mean by that? Well, first off, you wanna make sure you've got Google Analytics installed. From there, you want to make sure you've signed up for Google Search Console. That's probably the most important part. That's how you're going to see all the different metrics for your site within search, within Google Discover. That's how you'll actually see if Google Discover is working. It'll tell you how many people they have sent your way. You want to make sure that you have your sitemap indexed within Google Search Console and that your sitemap's being updated every time you post. You want to also make sure that you're passing Google's core web vitals that basically just says that your site has a good user experience. The faster the site is, the better the user experience, the more likely it is that they're going to not only rank it in search, but display it to people within Google Discover. So Google Discover can be an absolutely great way to get more traffic, especially if you have a small site. Right now, like a third of my traffic on Slightly Pretentious comes from Google Discover for various posts. So what happens is you might have a post that's not necessarily going to get a whole lot of search traffic, but Google says, wait a minute, I think I got some people that are gonna be interested in this. We're gonna put it in front of them and see if they're into it. And so I've had a lot of my cocktails that I created names for that nobody's going to be searching. All of a sudden it gets a few dozen hits a day because Google says, there must be something good about this. We're gonna send people that way, and I've gotten new subscribers just from doing that. So that goes full circle all the way back to the beginning where we were talking about low traffic, low competition. Because even if there is low traffic and low competition, you still have the potential of getting something promoted within Google Discover, which can then send a whole bunch of people your way. And if you have your free opt-in and you've been strategic about where you've put that free guide on your website, then within 90 days, you can pretty easily get your first 1,000 email subscribers. So there you go. I feel like this was a long video. Hopefully you found it valuable, but I mean this. If you are starting a site, or even if you've got an existing site and you're struggling to get subscribers and you're struggling to build that email list, literally that's it. That's what you do. That's what I've done on every single one of my sites, and it has worked really, really well. And the more people you get to your website, the more opportunities you're going to have to get them on your email list, and the more people on your email list, the more people you'll get to send back to your website and make all your content grow. So as your email list grows, your site grows. As your site grows, your email list grows, and everything just keeps going up together. Real quick, I just want to interject something. If all of this is sounding like, oh my gosh, this seems like so much stuff, how am I going to remember all of this? That feels overwhelming. Just come back to one thing. Create really good content that you would be interested in, and there's a good chance other people are going to be interested in it as well. Do that. If you do that over a long, consistent period of time, people are going to show up on your site. People are going to sign up for your newsletter, for your free guide, or whatever it is. And just remember that. That's all you got to do. Might take a little bit longer, but that's all you got to do. So, if you found that valuable, my name's Sean Ogle. We've actually got a free niche site guide. So if you want some extra hand-holding, if you're starting to figure out what the best niche is for you, grab this guide. You can go, this is one of the free guides. So if you want to see an example of one of these free guides in person that I created using Beacon in a weekend, just go click the link below, and it's locationrumble.com/niche site guide. But check that out. And if you're trying to figure out what the best niche is for you, I would recommend you go watch this video right here. So If you liked it, thumbs up, subscribe. I'd love to see you on our next video, and I hope you have a fantastic day. We will see you soon. My name's Sean Ogle. Peace.